This songwriting challenge is for anyone who is currently stuck in the house or unable to travel very far. Right now, that means most of us, as I'm making this video in the midst of the current 2020 COVID-19 lockdown. It's also a good songwriting challenge for any of you out there who can't currently play a musical instrument, but if you can play an instrument, then that is fine too. So I'm going to start with a quote by the composer John Cage, who said, "If something is boring after 2 minutes, try it for 4. If still boring, then 8 minutes, then try 16, then 32 minutes. Eventually one discovers that it is not boring at all." Now, John Cage is probably best known for his composition 433. In this piece, the musicians who have gathered together to perform the composition do absolutely nothing at all. So the music is made up of whatever sounds can be heard in the room during the 4 minutes and 33 seconds the piece takes place in. One of the points Cage was trying to make with this piece was that there are always things to notice, even when it seems like nothing is happening. He said, "There's no such thing as silence. What the audience thought was silence, because they didn't know how to listen, was full of accidental sounds. You could hear the wind stirring during the first movement. During the second, raindrops began pattering the roof. And during the third movement, the people themselves made all kinds of interesting sounds." Now, this songwriting challenge is going to involve more than just doing absolutely nothing, but it is going to involve looking at and noticing things that we see all the time during our everyday life. And because many of us are stuck in the house just now, or only able to go out once or twice a day to places we've probably been to many times before, like the local shop, or the park, or the streets of our immediate neighbourhood, we are seeing the same people and places over and over again, probably to the point where we've stopped paying attention. And any kind of art, whether it's painting or sculpture or writing or songwriting, is about paying attention to and really noticing what is going on around you and what's going on inside your head. So to show you an example of what I'm talking about, I'd like you to pause this video and go and take a listen to the song Tom's Diner by Suzanne Vega. There's a few versions online, but I've put a link below this video to the one I'd really like you to listen to. So press pause just now, have a listen to Tom's Diner, and I'll see you back here in 4 minutes' time. So, now you've listened to Tom's Diner, you'll have heard in the lyrics that Suzanne Vega is looking at and noticing a very normal, everyday scene. There are snippets of dialogue, detailed descriptions of people's actions and clothing. She sings about a story she's reading in the paper, someone she sees out the window of the diner. She writes about what she sees and hears, and she writes about a memory that springs to her mind. Then she brings herself back to the present, finishes off her coffee and runs off to catch a train. So there's nothing out of the ordinary happening here, just simple everyday occurrences. And this is what I would like you to try and capture as you start to write a new song. So find a place to sit and look at the world, just your ordinary everyday world. It might be the view from your window, or from a park bench, or from your car in a supermarket car park. Take a pen and paper and try to fill a blank A4 sheet or whatever you have with what you can see from your particular corner of the world. And forget about the fact that you're writing a song for now. Just make a list or a mind map or even draw pictures, anything to document what you can see from where you are. Now, at this point, it's crucial that you switch off the critical voices in your head that say things like, "Well, that's a rubbish idea," or "Don't write that," or "That's not important, think of something better." At this point, there are no bad ideas and no wrong answers. What I would encourage you to do, however, is to think beyond just the basic, just the surface level of what you're seeing. So for instance, if a man walks past, don't just write "man walking past." Try and go into a bit more detail. Write about what he looks like, what he's wearing, where you think he's going. Try and read the expression on his face. And go into as much detail as you can about everything you can see. And once you've exhausted all those possibilities, close your eyes and pay attention to what you can hear, in the same way that Suzanne Vega sang about hearing a church bell ringing. And if any of these sights and sounds trigger any memories or hopes or ideas or any thoughts at all, then write them down as well. Fill your piece of paper with anything you like, no one's watching, and no one else ever has to see it. So, what now? Well, if you've had enough for one day, then feel free to leave your piece of paper for now and come back to it tomorrow. There's no rush to write this song, and sometimes it can be a good idea to step away from a creative project for a while so you can come back to it later with a fresh perspective. But when you are ready, take a look at your piece of paper full of everything that you wrote about from your particular corner of the world, and see if anything in particular jumps out at you. What's your favourite thing that you wrote down? What resonates with you and triggers some kind of emotion? At this stage, you should just trust your gut and go with anything that excites you in some way. Once you have found something, try and turn that into the first line of your song. And remember, it doesn't have to be complicated. The first line of Tom's Diner is, "I am sitting in the morning at the diner on the corner." It's simple, but it works beautifully within the context of that song. And again, don't put pressure on yourself at this stage to write something that's perfect straight away. The process of writing a song involves lots of first attempts, second attempts, scoring out and rewriting. But you can't rewrite or score anything out unless you've written something in the first place. So just get writing and start slowly piecing your song together. Once you have some lyrics written, it's time to start thinking about the music. Now, you'll remember that Suzanne Vega's song has no instruments in it other than her voice. So once you have a couple of lines for your song, try and think of a simple melody to go with it. Something catchy, something you could maybe imagine someone whistling as they walk down the street. You could even forget about your lyrics for a while if that's helpful and just whistle or sing a wordless tune. Again, trying out a few ideas without putting pressure on yourself to come up with something perfect straight away, and trusting your gut as to what does or doesn't work or what you do or don't like. Then try and fit your lyrics to the music you've come up with. Now again, this is a bit of a trial and error situation. You might have to adjust the melody to fit the lyrics, or you might have to adjust your lyrics to fit the melody. Now, another thing you might have noticed about Tom's Diner is that it doesn't have a chorus. The closest the song really gets to a chorus is the part. So if you have found a melody for your lyrics, you could sing that melody with some las or some do-do-dos or even whistle it, and that could be your chorus that you sing in between your verses. Another good example of this is a song called When You Sleep by My Bloody Valentine, which just uses a simple keyboard hook in place of a chorus, and it works perfectly well. Now, if you get really stuck with this songwriting challenge, then why not try using Tom's Diner as a direct template for your song? So for now, borrow the melody, the song structure, even some of the lyrics, just as a kickstart to get you going. So for instance, take the first lines of that song, "I am sitting in the morning at the diner on the corner," and change it so it suits your particular view of the world. So for instance, you could write, "I am sitting on a park bench watching clouds drifting past me," or something like that. So the long-term plan is still to write your own song and to change the melody and the way the song is pieced together later, but starting like this might help you if you get stuck. So these are just a few thoughts to start you off. If you start down the creative path I've outlined here, but it takes you somewhere else completely different, that's totally fine. Just trust your gut and go where the song takes you. Good luck!